Hello and welcome to the Neckbeard Experience, my cringe files. This is the voice of the cringe lord. I bring you 3 subscriber stories and I hope you enjoy. I think the second one is probably one of the worst, cringiest stories I've ever heard. Pretty bad. So I think she deserves a cringe award of the week. If you haven't already, please follow me on Twitter. I'd love to have you there. You can ask me anything, and you can also check out my Neckbeard news that I post there, plus other funny things I've found. The link's in the description. So without further ado, get ready to cringe, because here we go. So there are 3 characters in my story. There's me, the first neckbeard I'll call Joseph, and the main star of this show. We'll call him David. I was walking from my school to the public library across the street. I waited until the light on the crosswalk lighted up for my turn. I started jogging across, trying to be fast enough when some idiot turned left at the red light. They only missed me by nearly an inch. This doesn't seem very relevant, but it will come into play later. Anyway, I ran the rest of the way and safely got into the library. I walked upstairs to the part of the library that's only for teenagers, and apparently it was dubbed the Teen Center. It was set up that along one wall was a row of tables that sat 2 people. The wall parallel to that one had 3 computers open for public use. Between the walls were rows of bookshelves. So if you wanted to get from the table to the computer, you would have to walk past every table to get to it. I sat down at the first table and decided to draw a character of mine. After a few minutes, the 2 boys made their way in. Joseph was short and chubby and was a classic neckbeard, greasy long hair, patchy beard that ran the perimeter of his jaw and all over his neck. His friend, David, was more of an edgy emo neckbeard. He was pretty short. He had floppy blonde hair, a Batman jacket, and one of the worst pizza faces I've ever seen. Not to say that you're gross if you have acne, it's just that it didn't do anything good for his gross personality. I don't know if this really adds to anything, but these 2 were freshmen, and I was a sophomore at the time, but I looked more like a senior. Joseph and David sat at the table away from me. At first they loudly debated.
This Pokemon is the best because of this ability.
No, it's not, you idiot. This would totally wreck him, duh.
They settled down a few minutes before they both approached me, and Joseph spoke first.
Hey, aren't you the girl that almost got ran over a few minutes ago?
To be honest, I was super embarrassed because I'm a total airhead sometimes, and I've almost been run over before when it was my fault. So I ranted to him for a minute or 2.
Yeah, and I am mad because it was my turn to go.
Then Joseph makes the comment,
David has actually been ran over before.
There was another minute of awkward conversation between me and David before Joseph went back to his seat, and David decided to sit at a computer. This is where it gets really uncomfortable. David would loudly make comments, trying to sound smart, and he said things like,
I'm the only person who knows how to properly spell and pronounce the word library.
I tried to ignore him, but he was pretty loud. The worst part of the whole experience was that David would walk back and forth from his computer to his table, like constantly. And every time he got near to me, he would stop and stare at me for an uncomfortably long amount of time. I just tried my best to pretend I didn't notice him staring and drooling all over me. After about the 8th or 9th time of him doing this, he made a comment about the little stand on the tabletop.
Wow, a whole afternoon of watching Happy Tree Friends.
The best I could do was respond.
Yeah.
It took them about 45 minutes before they were picked up by their parents. I only had to see David one more time, since it was one of the last days of school. The whole time I was in the cafeteria before we were dismissed to class, he stared at me intensely. So yeah, that's my story, and I hope I never run into those guys again. So, my name for this story is Evie, and here's the rest of the characters. Hoagiebeard, my lovable boyfriend. He fits the Neckbeard description, except he smells nice, and he is the sweetest thing ever. Kind of like the difference between heroes and anti-heroes, he's an anti-beard. He wasn't there to save me, unfortunately. And the star, Hoagiebeard, the most disgusting human being I've ever met. Although I might jinx it by saying this, but he smelled like rotten food, had an unkempt, very long beard, and thinks that the mentally disabled are just normal people with pretend problems. I don't think I have to mention the sexism and racism here yet. Consider this a severe cringe warning. Anyway, my grandmother was getting her car fixed at a shady car repair shop when she sent me to get lunch from the local convenience store called Wawa. So I take a walk down memory lane, taking my time, passing places in my life that I had a great time in, like the daycare I went to. Anyway, when I got to the Wawa, I stood in line to place my order. I pulled out my tablet to text CornerBeard. A small important detail, my tablet is covered in Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z wallpaper images. And who would have noticed but our dear Hoagiebeard.
I see you like anime. Maybe you'd like to watch some with me. I have the entire box sets.
He said, breathing down my neck, and this scared me. I decided to respond because I was raised to be polite, and oh boy did I regret it.
I'm sorry, I have to get back to my grandmother.
I said it in an almost whisper. He frowned.
You can have my number and maybe we can hook up sometime,
he said, trying to score. I looked at him, and my next move came to me.
Oh, I'm so sorry, I'm in a relationship.
I hoped this would get him to go away, but I was wrong.
I can do better than he can. I'll show you a world you've never known.
He was smiling the entire time he said this.
What's he got that I don't anyway? I bet he's hurting you and making you believe that he's treating you right.
Now, I grew up being abused by my dad, and the wounds are still fresh, and I had just escaped the situation. The last time I checked, CornerBeard was the farthest thing from abusive. This enraged me, so much so that I almost messed up my order. I said nothing, but he didn't stop there.
I bet you aren't even loyal. They say black women come out of the womb having fun with whatever they can. I bet you have loads of people you sleep with. What's one more?
I kept my cool. I wanted to kick him so hard that when I was done, he could forget about reproducing, but I did not. Now, I have high-functioning autism, and so does CornerBeard. I wear it on my class ring, and he noticed the puzzle pieces.
A girl like you shouldn't support a scam like autism. Anybody without a physical disability is lying. They're just lazy people trying to get money without working.
Now, I have a hard enough time trying to get a job. The fact that he said this beyond offends me.
I'm autistic. I may not be the most successful, but I suggest you stop talking to me.
I said through my teeth. This clearly offended him.
I could cure you of your autism. You could stay at home and make dinner and clean the place and take care of our children like a proper woman. You won't have to hoe yourself out anymore.
At this, I attempted to pay for my hoagies, which are still being made, and get out. Sadly, I had to wait. To pass the time, I texted CornerBeard, informing him about the situation, and he said,
"Get out of there. Tell someone your number and say you have to step out."
Too late.
What you doing? Are you telling that a-hole where you are? He probably makes you think you have autism.
This goes on until the hoagies are done. I can't tell you how fast I ran when I got my food. But this does not stop our hero. He chases me screaming into the local Target, where I lose him in the aisles. Thank goodness they were remodeling every pre-existing store. I hid in the women's bathroom, and for extra measure, I took the long way back to the repair shop just to be safe. I didn't tell CornerBeard about the worst part of it, because, well, you should see how he gets when he hears about my dad. He's protective and sweet. But that's the tell as to why I'm not going back to that Wawa alone. Hello there, my name is Thracker. Today I'll be telling you the story of a neckbeard that I met in my freshman year of high school. First, I'll need to tell you a little about me and my friends. I'm a female. I'm about 5'7". I'm curvy and overall pretty good looking. I also have some very curly thick hair. This will be important later. I am a nerd. I love video games, Dungeons and Dragons, and things of that nature. I am also an artist and a furry. Here are some of my friends. For privacy, I'll be changing their names. Friend 1, Sagittarius. He's the leader of a small after-school group called the Lorner. He's nice and very passive. He's a great person, albeit a little oblivious at times. Friend 2, Peacekeeper. Peacekeeper is one of my friends and a furry like me. She, whenever there's a fight, she always calms it down. She's a wonderful person. There are other people, but they're not crucial to the story. And now, the moment you've been waiting for, CornerBeard. CornerBeard is your usual neckbeard. Fedora, socially inept. He addresses women as "m'lady." He usually carries around this old umbrella that was his grandfather's. Unlike most neckbeards, he's almost handsome enough to be called a Chad. He isn't overweight in the slightest. He does have a neckbeard though, and he's an emotional train wreck. Anyway, I had been going to this after-school group my friend Sagittarius made, the one we called Lorner. Mainly, it was about 7 people sitting in a corner of a stairwell talking about lore about this book Sagittarius was writing. In this story, everyone had their respective groups. Our companies that each represented was a different element of power. My company's element was light. I can't really recall what the others had, but CornerBeard's element happened to be time. He always tried to mess with their characters, or tried to kill them off. One time he tried,
"You all make this boorish. I say it is this way. It is more interesting."
Usually though, Sagittarius would tell CornerBeard,
"Stop screwing with the characters. This isn't only you doing this."
when he wasn't there though, CornerBeard became an absolute nightmare. He would angrily scream,
"You all are making this story terrible."
and he would alter the story further. He even insulted me and Peacekeeper.
"You and Peacekeeper are gross furries. I think you both are abominations."
He also said, and I quote,
"Your hair makes you look ugly and unladylike. You should grow it out."
The final straw came when he tried to alter our story so much that the entire story we worked on, he claimed,
"You and your characters' backstories are just figments of your characters' imaginations, and my time company had been controlling them all along."
At this point, I told Sagittarius to tell CornerBeard to stop. He did, but it only escalated the problems. The next day, Sagittarius didn't show up for the meeting. CornerBeard came storming to the corner.
"Sagittarius had told me that I've been controlling, and you are all essentially calling me Hitler. All of you are horrible people and don't understand how storytelling works."
He even slammed his umbrella down so hard, it shattered into pieces of metal and fabric. Not even Peacekeeper could calm him down. It's summer now, and I'm definitely not looking forward to spending sophomore year with this guy. Wish me luck. If you enjoyed these stories, please leave a like and subscribe for more. All stories from Reddit and other external sites are linked in the description below. If you have any stories you'd like to share, you can send it to my email at funwithfailure@gmail.com. And for just $1 a month at Patreon, you can get advanced audio broadcast. The link is in the description.